Hello, New Thought Tuesdayers. It's Rich Smith and Dean Regan here today on New Thought Tuesdays. This one agreement can change everything, even, even on your worst days. We're talking about the four agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And this is our last of four for this book. It's called Always Do Your Best. That's what we're talking about today. Hey, Richard.
Hi, what is your best? The best that you can do. That's it.
No, 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 no. It means it's got to be right. It's got to be perfect. It's got to be a certain way, and there's got to be a lot of pressure with it, right?
Exactly. Wrong. Eh,
Wrong,
eh.
wrong. Yeah.
God, been there, done that, and
Uh,
got me nowhere.
right, right.
I got some
So,
stories I want to talk about later.
so we're talking about this. It's called Always Do Your Best. This fourth agreement, it's and what it means, it's the opposite of everything I just said. There is flow, there is ease, there is openness, there is beginner's mindness, there's possibility, there's allowing, there's accepting, there's divine desires, absolutely. There's an intention without question. But we're going to talk about how you can allow your best to look like your spiritual best. And that's what we're talking about. You know, it's burnout without, it's no burnout and it's no guilt. Just always doing your best. And so in Science of Mind, we're going to talk about things like right action. That would be a God quality that we'd be talking about in Science of Mind. Self-compassion and divine, I love this word, divine efficiency. So you said you had a story, Mr. Smith. You have a story about uh,
Oh,
always
which
doing your
one?
best.
Yeah, which one?
Well, do you want to
Uh,
start off with an example of something that was in terms of uh, always doing your best, or do you want to do something that's in contrast with that? Tell
well,
us.
it's in contrast. And, I've had tons of them. And one of the ones that I had years ago was I was writing my book, my ebook, 52 Laws and Principles of the Infinite Filmmaker. And it took me 15 years to get the book done. And so what was it? Didn't believe in myself, didn't trust people wanted to hear what I had to say. I mean, it could have been a thousand things. And yet it wasn't until I started practicing these principles that were in the book, my book 52 Laws and Principles of the Infinite Filmmaker. When I started to practice them, I realized that this thing that wants to speak through me, it's something greater than myself. I can trust in that. God, divine presence. I call it the genie within, the infinite filmmaker creating the movie of your life. And so when I started to understand these principles that we teach all the time on New Thought Tuesdays, uh, then I had the confidence to be able to know that it's not me. I don't have to come up with anything. I just have to be still and allow it to speak through me. And so there's tons of things throughout my life and my career, in the film business that 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 were part of that fourth agreement.
Sometimes by the contrast of trying to get it perfect, trying to get it exactly the way it needs to be. There's got to happen. It's and then releasing, surrendering to that, the idea that we are always in our rightful place and our divine desires are authorized and that we can be in collaboration not only with the people around us, but with the whole universe.
Yeah.
And every time I even talk about this today, there's this, when I talk about the contrast or the conflict with this agreement, it feels it just it feels negative to me. Not even so much uncomfortable, but negative and pushing against. And a feeling tone that I have over the last decades really released. Doesn't mean it doesn't come back up every now and again. Please no. But that the sense of allowing trust. It's like what you said, Rich. It's allowing trust, to have trust in truth, that our heart is in an intention of goodness, and we go along for this journey and this ride. And the key thing about this, and we'll get into this just in a little bit after we review, the key thing is about doing your best is always do your best right now. Right now.
Yeah.
It's not a striving future thing. It's not a judgmental past thing. It's a right now. Right now, in this moment, with Richard Smith and New Thought Tuesdays and our inner circle, I'm doing my best with an open heart and a trust that I'm in my rightful place, doing my rightful work at the rightful time.
Yeah.
So before we go in any more deeply, we're just gonna review. Okay, it's Don Miguel Ruiz's The Four Agreements. You can get the regular size, or you can get very tiny version. And his idea is agreement number one: be impeccable with your word. Agreement number two: don't take anything personally. Agreement number three: don't assume anything. Don't make assumptions. And today's agreement: always do your best. Meet the moment with all you've got right here and right now. I have had many a time, because my released mantra is got to get it done, got to do it right, got to do it now. I'm actually quoted in a book about my process of how I've gotten rid of that. Let's push human Midwestern work ethic in the farms. Get up at 5 a.m. and get those cows done and get it done, and then fall asleep at night and do it all tomorrow. That's my Chicagoan Midwestern collective consciousness. What I've learned about always doing your best is that taking the pressure off doesn't mean you relieve yourself of a divine desire or even divine determination, but that you are trusting that there's more going on here than just those tasks that are in front of you. There is a peace, a truth, a life to be celebrated in everything we do. And in this moment, whatever you're doing, do your best. And I like to think of it as do your gentle best, because sometimes I can still click back into that, oh, best means perfection, right? Not too much. Your best isn't a performance. It's a prayer. As I'm in this moment right now, I am in prayer. I'm in prayer with Rich. I'm in prayer with New Thought Tuesdays on our social media, and I'm in prayer with our inner circle. So Richard, the main points we're talking about today. What doing your best actually means. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. It's the pressure that you're putting on yourself to get it all right, to write that perfect script, speaking to my filmmaker people, to land that perfect gig, get the funding for your movie, the part in that, play or movie that you want to, pursue as an actor. And so none of that is required to be a success. The real power lies in something much, much simpler and far more spiritual. And that's just recognizing that for me, it's an infinite power and presence that's working in and as and through me, creating this movie of my life. And it's unfolding in perfect order right here and right now. So I don't feel like I have to get it right. Uh, I just let go. You know, yesterday, I was telling Dean I had a really challenging day, and I had some chores to do, and one of the things was to go and get some new tires put on my wife's car. Well, first I went to the gym to work out, and then I brought my iPad, and I was going to do some work at the cafe, and then Dean and I were supposed to have a meeting at the cafe in the morning, and my power went dead on the iPad. My phone didn't work for whatever reason. That was going dead too. The Wi-Fi they didn't have an outlet at Starbucks to plug in. And it's just like everything seemed to fall apart. So then uh, I came home, got my wife's car, brought it to the car dealers, and it took 3 hours to put the tires on. So I said, I'm going to go to a cafe. I went to a cafe, forgot to charge my iPad, got to Starbucks, another Starbucks. There was no outlets there. They're taking the outlets out of Starbucks. And I think that's because they don't want you sitting there all day drinking one cup of coffee. However, the thing is, what I had to realize is just let go, let God. Just this is what it's meant to be. My day is not supposed to be productive today. Maybe it's just to sit here in silence for 3 hours and watch people and think and come up with some ideas and so I had to just let go. It wasn't working out the way I expected it to and I wanted it to. That's one of the challenges that I have a lot in my life is that letting go, let God. Allow that divine presence to create through you in the way it's meant to create. And it's perfect, whole, and complete anyways.
So as Ruiz is talking about this, what he's talking about this is he's written this chapter just for Rich and me. He's just written this chapter just for us. That idea of, okay, yes, there's a lot of production stuff. There's a lot of stuff that we can do in our adult lives, with social media and all kinds of followers and greeters and members and that. And tires in both of our households, actually. But with this idea of always doing your best, it's more about breathing life and grace into a moment of possibility in that moment of now, that moment of love. And so what he means is, yes, even if you've got a high pressure, high powered job, you've got things that have to be done and people who are demanding, and what he's saying is breathe life into this experience and always do your best. Be aware of where ego is getting involved, where your self-worth is getting involved, and just breathe with life. It's always doing your best is a very fluid and dynamic condition. It's not static. It's not involved with perfection. And you can feel a different way about it. Your best can change depending on what your intention is and what your feeling tone is, or your mood. What have you got to bring to this moment? How is your perfection, just the way you are right here and right now, contributing to this collaborative moment between you and some other people, or between you and yourself? So allow yourself to feel in different ways as you focus with grace on doing the best that you can.
Yeah.
This is where you at the point where I'm at in our notes, Rich.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great. So
I'm following along.
Great. Why don't you do the science of mind section? What does science of mind talk about? The qualities of God having to do with always doing your best.
Yeah. In the science of mind, Ernest Holmes talks about uh, aligning with right action and surrendering to whatever is going on in your life, non-attachments to the outcome and just allowing things to unfold. I have another story back when I was I had a screenplay that I started to write. I only got 40 pages done. You probably heard this story before. And and I wrote 40 pages, and the film market in New York City had a screenplay entry. So I entered in a screenplay. I did a stage reading next door. And to make a long story short, New Line Cinema showed up, and they goes, "This is great." It was like a stage reading with actors. Actually, they were Broadway actors. My wife was a casting director at the time. And it was just amazing. They come up to me and said, "Yeah, we want to see the screenplay." And I said, "I only got 40 pages written." And it took me years, 10 years or more to finish that screenplay. And so I just had to let go of that, not let that bother me and think, "Oh, I'm a failure or I'm not successful." It just took 10 years to write the screenplay, and that's okay. That was my process. That was how I dealt with it. Somebody else would have went home and pumped out that screenplay. I wasn't a screenwriter. I just was given this idea, came up with this idea, and started writing 40 pages.
So the thing we're also talking about is, just for you folks listening to us today, the idea of just considering that always doing your best is
Yeah.
living from spiritual integrity, as opposed to not spiritual integrity, or perhaps ego. Just consider, for instance, we've been on a couple of road trips recently, and we always get in the car and it's like, road trip. And we were out in DC this last weekend, and on Easter, we were on our way home, and I was not in a particularly aligned place. I'd had an amazing experience spiritually during service that morning, but on our way home, there were a number of things that just, I was reacting to them. And as they built up, and there were a few things that built up, I found that I was even in a place of fear. And at one point, I, out of a place of fear, called out to one of my family members in order, in my belief, to keep them safe. Now, my reactions were not particularly high level reactions. They were in terms of frustration and concern, disappointment, and fear. And still, my reaction was not what I was looking to share with others, or I organically feel myself, but it was my truth at that moment, my lack of trust to a certain extent at that moment. And still, spiritually, I was doing the best that I could. I was coming from a place of love and a place of intention. My behavior was not what I would hope that it would be, but I was really clear that I was coming from a place of doing my best without pressure.
Yeah.
There was several things going on that I got to parse out as I was doing it. So
You
that,
know, Dean, I was going to ask you, you had this, you get in the car and yay, we're going on a road trip, right? So just, what I was talking about earlier, that you have an attachment to the outcome, yay, we're going to have a great time. Let's do this. And then all of a sudden it turns into something different, not what you expected.
true.
And, that's the thing I'm going through lately is expectations. What do you expect to happen? And when it doesn't happen that way, are you, how does it affect you? And that's where you say in spiritual integrity.
Spiritual integrity. I mean, and yes, if you want to look at Buddhism, joy, hey, road trip, that's an attachment.
Yeah.
That I have yes, joy is an attachment. Sorrow is an attachment. Then the suffering comes in when there is a sense of divine desire for this, and a judgment that it didn't come in the way you wanted to, or in the speed that then then that's where you've got more attachment.
then you have to realize that it's all unfolding in perfect order. And when you get to the place where you just know your life is unfolding in perfect order, no matter what's going on around you, then it will unfold in perfect order. Eventually, it takes work. You know, it took me years to get to this place. And Dean, you too, you've been studying this stuff for years.
Oh yeah.
But when you get to the whole the feeling tone is, you know, even though I'm at the cafe and my computer, my iPad is dead, it's still unfolding in perfect order. Maybe I'm just meant to sit here. Let go of your attachments,
Yeah.
you know, because it's going to be perfect for you. You know, everything you do is going to be in perfection because there is no imperfection in the mind of the infinite, and the infinite is creating in and as and through you in perfection. And with the fear, doubt, and worry, and anxiety, and resentment and anger, or whatever you're feeling over what's going on in my life right now, that's not going to get you anywhere. That's not divine integrity. That's not coming from infinite intelligence. It's coming from your ego. And so you got to let go of that and just go with the flow, you know, go with the flow.
With the flow. And so we're speaking of going with the flow. We're going to flow into the inner circle. For those of you who do not know about the inner circle, how could you not know about the inner circle? You can go to www.newthoughttuesdays.com to learn about our membership program, which we get together with folks in the inner circle after our conversations and go deeper in a confidential environment, go deeper and share things together to really expand these conversations. So if you'd like to be part of that, you can go to www.newthoughttuesdays.com, and there's a few things you can click on, and we'll also remind you about upcoming New Thought Tuesdays. Anything else before we go away, Mr. Smith?
No, I guess that's it. You know, focus on the wisdom, grace, ease, flow. Allow it to just happen the way it's meant to happen because it is perfect, whole, and complete.
Yee-haw. All right, we're out of here. We will see you later.
See you in a bit.
And